Today on The Social, some organizations are calling for Canada to bar the bands Kneecap and Bob Vylan for entering the country for what they deem to be hate speech. Other artists are advocating for a right to free expression. We unpack the music industry's growing debate. Women are so fed up with dating men that there is now a word for it. But does heterofatalism take things too far? Then singer-songwriter Larsen drops by to talk about his stunning new album, The Transformative Power of Music, and why he decided to cancel his US tour. Plus, it's another edition of The Social Chapter. Find out if the host got spooked by our latest audiobook, Sacrilege, Curse of the Mbirwi. It all starts now on The Social.
Tuesday, and welcome to The Social. Nobody told us you're all going to be so gorgeous today, so thank you so much for being here, everybody. Well, we're going to start with a bit of a serious story because there's pressure that is now rising for Canada to ban Irish rap group called Kneecap and British punk rap duo Bob Vylan from performing here in Canada. So, Kneecap, okay, they are known, I didn't know who they were. So, Kneecap, they are known for their pro-Palestinian views, and footage circulating shows Bob Vylan leading chants like death to the Israeli Defense Forces and other things. Critics are saying that comments like that are hate speech. And supporters, though, are arguing that banning shows is censorship, and artists are advocating for their right to speak up against the war in Gaza. So, are they right to be concerned about freedom of expression here in Canada?
Yeah.
Big. It's big.
I think it's an interesting thing because I do believe that artists should have the right to protest war, this war in particular, or any of the 113 armed global conflicts going on in the world right now. But things get interesting here in Canada because we're quite different from the United States and their First Amendment law protecting free speech on account of our hate speech laws, right? So those hate speech laws that we have aim to balance freedom of speech with the need to protect vulnerable groups. And so these bands are arguing that they're cheering for Hamas or waving the Hezbollah's flag or encouraging fans to kill their MPs was taken out of context. They're saying, no, this was satire, or that they were handed the flag and they thought it was a prop and wasn't too sure what it was. But I can understand why politicians and lawmakers would not want to gamble on that, would not want to take them at their word, given our stricter framework for hate speech.
I mean, I think we can all agree that saying, like, even as satire, like, kill, fill in the blank here, is a dangerous area to go into because people
It's actually illegal.
There we go.
That is actually the definition of hate speech.
For sure.
Yeah.
But then I think I juxtapose that with the need for music. And right now, there's a lot of rage out there in the world. There's a lot of anger, and it's justifiable. And I don't think people know where to channel it. And so what art does, good art, is it speaks to that. It speaks truth to power, and it also gives artists a place to channel their rage. And this is certainly not new. The protest song has been around forever. I think about Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, Killing in the Name Of by Rage Against the Machine, which, Killing in the Name, like, it has killing in the name in the title. So there is a violent aspect in reaction to it. So, but if you tease that out, I just think that lately, over the past few decades, I don't know about you, but I feel like I haven't seen a lot of rage in music. It feels like everything's been kind of like,
and there's all online.
I don't need to have it in music because it's everywhere.
Maybe that's true.
Because it's in the comment section of everybody's post.
It's true. But I think there are ways, and we should not want artists to not speak out because I think that they need to. I think it's just about the ways in which, but it gets complicated, right? Because if
Like as if they take sides.
Exactly. Or if people feel like they've incited violence directly to people. I think that's
These concerts are sold out in Canada, and I think whether there's a ban against them or not, people are going to be outraged. And I think that speaks to the divisiveness. Of this conflict.
Yeah, this is a very delicate subject, and I want to be very careful with what I say because I don't want to upset people, but I do want to draw attention to something because, and don't mind me if I look at my notes because I don't want to get this wrong. You mentioned Marvin Gaye and John Lennon. I think when we think about musicians kind of changing the temperature or saying the thing that we're all thinking about, we think about those types of songs that everybody can sing along to and feel good about. But then there have also been musicians who talked about injustice and they didn't touch on the subject. They really kind of punched it in the face. And I was growing up a huge fan of hip hop, and I will never forget the song by Ice-T, who was actually part of a heavy metal band called Cop Killer. This song back in 1992 was a protest anthem in response to ongoing police brutality and systemic injustice in the Black communities. For context, in Los Angeles at the time where he was living, there was the Rodney King beatings, there was the LA riots, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And the song sparked one of the most explosive media controversies in music. The president at the time, who was George W. Bush, and the vice president, Dan Quayle, along with law enforcement, wanted this song pulled and banned. I understand, you could understand when you hear the song, the title Cop Killer. But Ice-T framed the song as a form of musical self-defense and a character-driven story and not a literal call to violence. Now, this song also sparked a lot of conversation, which I think is what this band is trying to do, which is highlight what's really going on, because this is a band with a song. What's going on in the world is much more dire than a band with a song, which I think this is what the conversation that we're having right now. And I think it's not lost on me that while we're talking about freedom of speech and trying to ban people and what they want to say and the freedom for an artist to say something, the song I just talked about came out almost over 30 years ago.
Wow.
And here we are today still having the same conversation.
Yeah.
So that's not lost on me. So that was the first thing that I thought about when we discussed this.
What do you think, Mel?
Yeah, listen, I go back to the laws. We do have freedom of expression in this country, and we do have hate speech laws, and I'm really, really glad that we do. I think with this band, as I said off the top, I don't know who they are. I think probably most of us don't know who Kneecap is. Their fans know who they are. And if you know who they are, and I just did this much of a deep dive, they're from Ireland. They are very much these, they tout Irish republicanism. They are very much against their anti-British rule. Their own history is rooted in speaking up against anti-colonialism. They are an anti-colonialist band. So when they are now talking about the issues that are happening in Gaza, yes, like you said, there is an outlet because there's a lot of rage. But when I look at the laws and I was trying to decipher what can you say and what can't you say, you cannot incite violence or ask people to do harm to an identifiable group. That's illegal. We can all agree to that. Nobody should be allowed to say that. But what is freedom of expression? Well, freedom of expression allows you to say things. And one of the defenses that this is actually freedom of expression and not hate speech is that, well, can you point to a truth? The headlines coming out of the Middle East are dire. They are dire. You have 50 hostages that are still in captivity. You have 55,000 Palestinians who are dead. There are real headlines that you can say is identifiable truths. So are they inciting violence, or are they speaking what you can actually just Google and find from numerous mainstream news sources? Because the law will protect them if they can say, well, this is what the news says, this is what's being reported, United Nations, Amnesty International, et cetera. So I think in this country, if we do believe in freedom of expression, the band should be allowed to perform. But you should also be able to protest.
Oh, absolutely.
That they are here saying those things.
I don't think any of
both
us
things can be true.
I don't think any of us disagree on that absolutely the right to protest. But what happens, this is where it gets tricky. What happens, whether satire or not, they're waving a flag of a terrorist organization.
Was that recently? Because my thing, I had read that was.
But doesn't that give cause for concern for lawmakers and politicians here? What if they, even if it was a year ago, even if it was a year and a half ago, even if they're saying it's satire, I don't know if politicians and lawmakers want to gamble on that. Want to be like, okay, yeah, sure.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
mean, to be clear, I've not heard of any politicians here saying that they shouldn't be allowed to come.
No.
It is community groups, et cetera, that are saying right now they should not be allowed to come.
Right.
So as it stands, they're coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
As it stands,
they're sold out.
The shows are sold out.
And they're sold out.
And I think there are people who are also just saying this is a grand distraction.
Right.
That getting
From the real
angry
issue.
at a band who barely any of us have heard of right now, who have this following, are distracting us from actual real harm that is going on in this area of the world right now, and politicians who aren't standing up and making change, although our government is starting to speak on it now.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, after the break, you didn't hear of kneecap? Well, I've never heard of this term. Heterofatalism. Why some women are so fed up with dating men, there is now a word for it. Heterofatalism. We're going to tell you more about it, and if we agree or disagree after this.
This week on The Social, the summer packing list you didn't know you needed. Beauty editor Bahar Narwala shares the skincare essentials you'll want to take on vacation.
All right, everybody, if you want to join this conversation, especially one that's happening online right now, connect with us via social media.
Where are single ladies at? Raise your hand. We got single ladies? Okay. We got a few. Loves it. Loves it. Love you. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
The New York Times is reporting that women are so fed up with dating men that there's a term for it. Heterofatalism. The belief that heterosexual relationships are doomed to fail. So what do we think about this idea of heterofatalism? Do you agree? Yeah. I'm dying to know.
The men are very quiet in the audience. Very quiet.
Like, what did we walk into today?
I definitely do not agree. I think this is a really cynical take on relationships, and it makes me a little bit sad. Listen, don't get me wrong. I have had conversations after a fight, and maybe we can just speak amongst friends, but like with my girlfriends sitting around where you're like, oh my God, I would just love to just like either start dating women right now and like forget about men, or move into a village with just women and like, you know, like Golden Girls style, and you know, have some gay friends come over and like whatever. You just do your own thing. But that, like, I think the bottom line is that relationships are hard. And like, that's the thing. No matter what, full stop, relationships are hard. So to pin this all on men or heterosexual relationships, I think is just like...
But wouldn't you agree? Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Relationships are hard. The three of us I know have been in very long-term relationships. It's not all roses. It's not. Yeah. No, I don't mean to point you out. What I'm saying is... Yeah. No.
Relationships are hard. Dating is even harder, baby.
Yes. No, you're right.
The dating to find the man who's going to stress you out is even harder.
But my point here is the idea that you're right. Relationships are hard, but what I think the culture allows is the idea to even have the word heterofatalism seems to be okay. Some people might even giggle at it because it seems to be that our culture is okay with us kind of male bashing. Yeah. Our culture is okay with us saying, well, the stereotype is all men are cheaters, they're all lazy, and they all just want to find the next young, hottest thing. And I think that I have a really big problem with that. I really, really do, because a lot of men in my life that I know are not that. And I think our culture is okay with like male bashing. So the idea of heterofatalism, it almost makes it sound like we women, while we know we're fabulous, we are not perfect. But it's almost like when stuff goes down in a relationship, it's very easy for the culture to accept that it must be always the male's fault, as if we are perfect, and we are not.
Andrea, what do you think?
Thank you very much. I'm so glad that you asked me that question, Jess Allen. I'm going to take this one. Okay, so hear me out. I think that for heterosexual women, a man can be your greatest pleasure. You meet the right person, it can create a whole family and generations, and can be wonderful. But also for women, if you meet the wrong person, this could be the worst thing that ever happened to you. And it's very complex, and we cannot forget that women are disproportionately affected by intimate partner violence and sexual assault. 88.8% of women experience sexual harassment via dating apps, ranging from unsolicited explicit content and in-person harassment. And let's not forget, we can even go lighthearted and be like, there's a Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? This is a group that's across cities. You guys See how the women are nodding? This
Yeah.
is a Facebook group across North American cities where women are like, I dated this guy, I'm putting his face out there just so another woman doesn't have to go through this. Or are we all dating the same dude? So when you have those types of experiences, and then we have our own individual experiences, but at the same time, society and friends and moms and aunties are expecting us to still be hopeful and effervescent about meeting the love of our life. It's a little bit of a push and pull. It's like, we know that you want the best for her, but it's a very complicated situation. So I don't think it's so much that men are all bad. It's just really hard out there to find decent people, and it's unsafe. Like when I go on dates, I don't think any of my male friends, when they go on a first date, I'm gonna point out Coco. Coco's in here, he's dating. I don't think Coco has to do this. Coco's, okay. Here's, thanks, come out here, Coco.
Look at him. Look at him.
Oh my God.
Right? By the way, ladies, he's single, available, and a very lovely man. But I'll tell you the difference. When I go on a first date, I have to text one of my friends or family to be like, here's who I'm going out with. If you don't hear from me in 24 hours, this is his name, this is his phone number, this is where I met him. When Coco goes on a first date, Coco, do you ever have to do that?
Okay, wait a minute.
So there's a reality of that.
You took the word fatalism very literally, and I
Yeah.
respect that. I do understand that.
Yeah.
In this article, the author wrote, this is a quote, "The men I want are not wanting me badly enough, not communicating with me clearly enough, not devoting themselves to me." And that to me, I was
Well,
just
that's
like,
one woman's take.
I know, but she wrote the article.
Yeah, I
so
get
I
you.
was just like, it sounds like you're expecting something out of like, I don't know,
Fairy tale?
rom-com. Or like, yeah, A Court of Roses and Thorns or whatever. You know, like this is not a relationship. So to me, I don't know, one of the greatest things that ever happened to me in my relationship early on, that early stage of my relationship with Jason, was I said, like, are you gonna love me forever? He's like, I don't know.
At least he was honest.
And at the time I thought, like, oh, that's a very unromantic thing to say, but it was actually a level set of like, you know, relationships are work. You have to work at them. You both are constantly changing. And I think that what a lot of women, straight women, are going into is having completely irrational expectations about what a relationship to look like. That doesn't mean you shouldn't expect good communication. That doesn't mean if you negotiate it, you shouldn't expect commitment. But there's a lot of stuff that is expectations based on like
A fairy tale, but we were
fairy
also
tale.
sold bad fairy tales.
That is true. That
But
is
then
true.
there are also a lot of men who are pretending to be in relationships and be in love with women, and they have several women on the go at the same time.
I don't know any of those
And I
men.
know those
I
guys.
don't know
You know
any
what?
of
But
those
you've
men.
also been off the market for a very long
But I have
time,
lots
my
of
friend.
male friends.
It's
Sorry,
been-
you go.
No,
You go.
no,
It's been
that's
decades.
what I said. Like, it's not that I don't believe you, but it's hard for me to reconcile the guy friends I have in my life with this story. Like, I can't imagine that they would be that different as a friend versus as a partner.
Let me clear that up. I always knowing a man as a friend, a platonic friend, and being in a relationship with him can be two very different men.
Really?
Thank you. Two very different people.
I don't think men are smart. I don't think men are smart enough to be Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh,
Like,
really?
to have two different
You know what?
personalities.
Leave Simon and come to the dark side and find out for yourself, my friend. You will find out.
There is a middle ground. Like, listen, what we do know about women and the feminist movement is that over the last 50 years, maybe less than that, maybe 30 or 40 years, something has shifted between the genders. It's true. We are graduating university at higher numbers than ever. We are finally getting those jobs. We are
buying houses.
We are financially independent. There has been a massive gender reckoning that has been long overdue because history is patriarchal. We've always been at the bottom of the ladder. So is it possible that there's a middle ground in this conversation? Women we have evolved leaps and bounds from where patriarchy has oppressed us, and have men been able to catch up and keep up with that change? That's a fair question to ask, but does that mean that all men are Neanderthals? No.
Here's it. We're not saying that they're Neanderthals, but if you could stop sending those unsolicited pictures of your genitals, that would be a step in the right direction. I'm not asking for much. You don't have to have the down payment. Just stop doing that stuff. Right?
Well, listen, we are teaching you life lessons here on the social. Life lessons. After the break, everybody, is it important that your spouse cry on your wedding day as you're walking down the aisle? Huh? No romance? Okay, we're going to give you a story and our take on it coming up in 3 minutes. We'll be right back. everybody. In case you did not hear, British singer Charlie XCX, she got married over the weekend, and she joked on TikTok that she would leave her new husband, George Daniel, if he didn't cry seeing her walk down the aisle. Okay. I love that that's the video she chose for that. Anyway, so is it important for you to see your partner cry when you walk down the aisle?
You guys are not on it? Okay, I'm gonna blame TikTok for this one, right? I'm also gonna blame the way that wedding ceremonies are all set up. Now, hear me out. How many times you've been just doom scrolling on your phone and then you come across a video of a couple you do not know, and this guy is standing there with his best friends, and he's all suited up, and he's waiting for the love of his life to walk down the aisle, and then you see him, she comes out, and he falls apart. Like these videos, right? Where it's like, look, these men, look at,
Oh my God,
look at that.
I'm gonna start crying right now.
Look at this, bawling. And then you think to yourself, when I get married, if my husband does not fall apart, then it's not true love. It's because of these videos of watching men cry.
Can I just say you're assuming the precise meaning of the cry? Like you're assuming that the meaning of the cry.
Wait.
Oh, you can see where I'm going with
Okay,
this?
here's the deal. But Cynthia, wait, but this is what I'm talking about.
I have a lot of other takes. Well, oh my God, this is the most beautiful woman in the world. Oh my God, I can't
Or is it
believe I'm
my
marrying
life
her.
is over?
But it could be my life is over. It could be I'm hungover. I'm exhausted. I can't even believe it. This is gonna be the longest day of my life. I can't believe that conversation. Your mother-in-law or my mother-in-law is gonna drive me crazy. There are so many different takes.
You are so pessimistic. No. I think it's also the way that the bride is presented, even the music. Like the music is normal until she comes out. So I think it lends itself to him having some kind of reaction, and we're all sitting there as, you know, friends of the family, and we're just kind of like waiting for him to have that emotion. So if he doesn't give us tears, we're like, this isn't real. I think that's also part of it.
Did you guys cry at your wedding? Or you know what? I was trying to
cry?
remember, but not only did I not cry, Ryan is a joker. You guys know him. He's such a jokester. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I have a moment when we were exchanging vows. And was he crying? I don't even remember. And then I looked and I remembered and I had to ask him. And no, look at us. We were giddy little kids.
Aww.
We were giddy little kids. And I got to tell you something. We were both so excited that day. We were just so excited. We just couldn't stop giggling. And Ryan's not a crier. And even though my eyelashes are falling off right now. But it's also not him, right?
Yeah,
Do I
yeah.
have it on my lip?
No, I can't see it. No,
Your eyelashes
you're
are
fine.
there.
You're fine. You're
You
fine.
have to know your partner.
Your eyelashes
Falling
are there.
apart, guys.
Yeah.
And also, you have to know your partner. Ryan's not a crier. He's not an emotional guy. It would have shocked me for the wrong reasons if he started crying. I would have been like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I think you have to know your partner. And also, you don't know backstory. Like, some of those guys could be crying. What if their wife has just come through an illness and she survived? And now, there could be so many stories. So for us, it wasn't a thing. But I'm not going to, like, Charlie XCX and be like, you out unless you cry.
Jason
You
does
know?
cry at everything. Like he will cry.
Wait,
at,
he
like,
cried at everything but the wedding?
Yeah, he did cry at the wedding.
No way!
I don't care.
nerves.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
care. I'll just go on record and say it. Our wedding day was not the best day of our relationship by any means. It was fine. It was a good day.
People, I
It
feel
was
like a lot of people
work.
say that.
He did cry when Jaya was born. We both bawled our eyes out.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that was more
That's
intimate.
more- yeah.
Would you want Simon?
Do you want Simon to cry when you guys get married?
Yeah. Or I want my money back. I have cried at every wedding I've ever been to, like as a guest, and so I suspect that I would also cry at my own wedding if I were ever to get married. And I really
please
would
do it
want
for us?
Yes.
I
Get married
would want
already.
Simon to be like, oh my God, you're the most important person. I can't keep it in. I would want that, but it would be like an intimate wedding anyway. So I think it wouldn't be stressful.
Yes.
It'd probably be like 4 people.
Yeah.
So, or just be the 2 of us. So if he didn't cry, again, yes.
You'd be upset.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Interesting. This should be an interesting one for any engaged couples watching the show today. Have fun at dinner tonight. Let's take a break, everybody. Singer Bells Larsen is here with a music you will never forget, and you must hear. That's next. We'll be back right after. If you haven't heard of Canadian musician Bells Larsen, we are about to introduce you to your favorite new artist.
He released his new album, Blurring Time, this year, which was longlisted for the Polaris Prize and made waves internationally. We're thrilled to talk to him all about it. Bells, welcome to The Social.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So good to have you here. So, Bells, let's start off. So you made this album in alignment with your transition over a period of several years. So
Yep.
can you talk to us a bit about that process.
Yeah, totally. So I started writing the songs in 2021. I sort of write songs with the intention of making an album, and I didn't know necessarily what that album would look like, but all of the songs were about identity and change. And by the end of the writing process, sort of around the end of 2021, I realized who I was. I'm a trans guy, and I understood that there were some changes that I needed to make in order to be true to my authentic self. Namely, I wanted to pursue a physical transition, which meant, in my case, taking testosterone to look how I look today. And the sort of crux of that was that my voice was going to change. And that's the hook of the last song on the record, It's my voice might get deep. As a singer, that can be a little freaky. And I was sort of faced with this dichotomy. Do I want to capture the record as I am today at the time, which was someone with a high voice, or do I want to start testosterone now, wait for my voice to drop, and then capture the record with a low voice? And then I thought, maybe I can do both.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Like, as you mentioned, you could have just used your post-testosterone voice. You chose to use both. So what was that sort of artistic inspiration? Why was that so important to do that?
When I was figuring out who I was, I watched a lot of coming out stories on YouTube, and there was a sort of pattern I saw of people as they were becoming their new selves, placing their past self to the side, which I totally appreciate why someone might do that, but that didn't really feel true to my becoming, I guess. I wanted to include the person I was as I was becoming the person that I am, because I hold all of the me's with me, I guess, which is why in that music video I have pictures from my childhood and pictures from a couple of years ago when I still had, long hair or whatever. It's all part of the equation.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we love that, yes, by the way.
Thanks.
Really wise choices.
Thank you, thank you. And I wanted to say too, yes, this album, I'm singing from the point of view of a trans person, but my hope with the music is that people from all walks of life can see parts of themselves within it, because we all change, and we all carry our past selves with us.
That is a beautiful segue to my next question,
Sure,
actually, because I think that's what we can all relate to. I think everyone grows and changes. And one of the things maybe we don't talk about enough in that growth and change process is that you are also going to say goodbye to some parts of yourself, in a sense. And you actually write about that in your song, Good Grief, the idea of mourning something that you're leaving behind or changing from. Can you talk to us and maybe unpack that song a little bit for us?
Totally. I put out a record a couple of years ago called Good Grief. That was based on, or not based, but largely inspired by the passing of my first love in 2017. And that record I wrote over the span of 4 years, whereas Blurring Time I wrote over the span of 1 year. And so I had a lot of time to consider the ways in which one grieves. Grief can obviously take on many forms, as can change. We can grieve a person, we can grieve an experience, we can grieve a loss of innocence. And I think I wrote that because it was a very sad experience, obviously, and I wanted to take my grief and make it good. I wanted to heal through writing that. So, and similarly, like you carry things that you grieve with you. I think I had a therapist at one point who had a metaphor about how grief can at first be a suitcase that's really heavy that you lug around, but then eventually through healing, it's just a little wallet that you always have in your back pocket, but it's always with you.
It's always there.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another song, My Brother and Me, which talks about your relationship to masculinity and what type of man you want to be. So what type of man is that?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. A good one, a kind one, a thoughtful one. Yeah, there are a lot of men, and also not men, who I look up to, who just exhibit beautiful forms of masculinity that I've been trying to align myself with over the last couple of years. I almost have like a sort of vision board in my head of, it's not so much, there's not a concrete image, it's just more the traits, I think. I just want to be kind and gentle and do the right thing while I'm still figuring out the things that I align with in terms of like, yeah, being a little muscly and whatever. Like, yeah. I think it all coexists.
That's a beautiful answer.
Yeah.
So the day your U.S. tour was supposed to kick off, you found out that your song "Might" was on Spotify's list of the most viral songs in the United States. I mean, that is huge.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier in the show about the power of music to sort of express emotions. What does it tell you about the reach and power of music, especially in these frightening times?
It was just so surreal to get that news. It felt very serendipitous and just a weird sign from the universe to sort of saying, you know, you can't be here physically, but you're still here emotionally and spiritually and mentally and whatever. It just goes to show that music is borderless and that, you know, though I am not able to be in the States for the foreseeable future, physically, I'm still, my music is still able to reach people there in such a way where it's viral, and that's great. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's my question. I was getting so sucked up in everything you're saying. What has been the most liberating part of releasing and touring this album?
The most liberating. You know, this album took a really long time, and art takes a long time. That's also a universal experience for many artists. Between writing the music and releasing the music, it can take many years. That's not specific to me. For me, it just happened to take a very long time. As I said, I wrote the music in 2021, and I just released it. And I'm just happy that it still seems to stand the test of time. So that's been very liberating to share it and be able to stand by the things that I'm saying.
Well, what a gift. Thank you for writing it, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's been incredible.
Thanks.
Okay, we want to tell you the new album is called Blurring Time. Please go check it out today and head to Bells' website here below. It's on the screen right now. That's how you can get tickets to his next show near you. We're going to take a quick break. After that, our big book club reconvenes. We'll be discussing a great one right after this.
Thank you.
I was really excited about this month's social chapter selection because it stars Caleb McLaughlin of Stranger Things fame, and I'm totally into that show. I don't know if there are any fans here.
Yeah, same. Well, this is an Audible original. It is called Sacrilege, Curse of the Mbirwi. It is a heart-stopping psychological thriller about the Wallace family's cursed vacation in Zimbabwe, where ancient spirits collide with inner wounds and family secrets are as deadly as the strange beasts that stalk the savannah. Take a listen.
A sacrilege has occurred, and it must be remedied. Aren't you ready?
Dad, why are they staring at us like that?
It's you, isn't it? I don't know what she's talking about.
Liar! Wow! Right? Okay, so we all have 20 seconds to sound off on this Audible original. Cynthia, why don't you get us going?
Okay, I rated this a 7 out of 10, and here's why. So the best horror illuminates deeper, darker truths about humanity. This, however, was a little confusing. I think it was about intergenerational trauma, colonialism, and the arrogance of America, but it was convoluted, and then they tried to tie it up with a neat bow at the end. Having said that, I think a YA audience might really appreciate all of this, and both the performances and the harrowing audio design. So, yeah.
Good.
Very nice.
Jess?
What about you?
Well, I gave this an 8 out of 10, and here's why. The audio design is the best I've heard in an Audible original. Completely immersive, whether we were in the wilderness facing terror or under the bed sheets. It felt like I was there, truly. Story-wise, the creators aimed high, maybe a little too high, so some of the bigger themes maybe got lost in the shuffle, but I'd rather have that than something safer flat.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
nice.
Mel,
Good.
what about you?
Well, I split the D, and you did what did you do? 7 and 8. I think a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
That's it, and here's why. As you said, Jess, immersive, vibrant. I really enjoyed the psychological gymnastics that a Black American family experienced upon landing in Africa, and the themes, identity, privilege, confronting intergenerational trauma, grief, death, joy, redemption. What I didn't like, being served up big life lessons so cleanly, perhaps obviously on a plate. I prefer to work a little bit less as a listener, and I didn't want, you know what, maybe give your listener a little bit more credit.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
Okay.
I see that. Yeah.
Okay, you want to hear my score? I gave this a 9.5 out of 10.
Oh.
And here's why. Because its electrifying blend of ancient mythology with pulse-pounding suspense had me hooked within the first 5 minutes. The narration is so gritty and immersive that at times I felt like I was watching a movie. Stranger Things' Caleb McLaughlin does a fantastic job playing a teenager who unwittingly unleashes an ancient spirit during a family trip to Zimbabwe. Every twist kept me hooked, and the cultural depth added a layer of authenticity that you rarely hear. I know I hear the ding, and I'm still going. I'm still going, because I really liked it. 9.5. I liked it.
Okay, well, as you've heard, the Wallace family is a Black family from America. They decide to go to Africa to find their roots on a luxury safari. So how much do you care about finding or connecting with your roots, Jess?
Do you know, until recently, very little. I was more interested in figuring out who was the builder of the 100-year-old house that we bought in Hamilton. And then all of a sudden, that led me sort of down a rabbit hole. And I thought, wait, maybe I should care more about my roots. And I went down a rabbit hole with my mom's side of the family. My grandmother, her people came from Alsace-Lorraine, which it was called at the time between Germany and France. And I went online, searched names, and then found out that there's this farm that connects the last name, and the people who work on the farm look just like me.
Oh, wow.
It was thrilling.
That's really
Wow. I saw the trip.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I don't know. I feel like when it comes to roots, because I feel like there'd be so many trees with so many different roots. I'm one of those people who has all these different European flavors and all these different things. The Italian side of me is the one I'm most connected to. But I'm going to Italy next year again, and I was thinking maybe I'll go back to the area where my great grandparents are from. But then I feel a little bit like, you ever see that scene in The Sopranos when the family goes to Italy and they're like, all the Italians are like kind of like laughing at them because they're such a watered down version of Italian. That's a little bit. I am connected to it, but I also feel like it's hard to claim it when it's been so watered down.
Yeah.
I
understand
Well,
that.
I feel the opposite. I did my ancestry because I wanted to find out where I'm from, and a large part of my ancestry is from the Ivory Coast, and then the other chunk is from Ghana. And I've traveled a lot. I don't know why I haven't gone to the continent yet. I think I'm a little bit nervous that I'm going to be overwhelmed by the feelings because of the history of Black people, how we got here, you know, is the whole slavery thing. But I really want to make that trip, but I really think it's important for everybody, especially kids growing up. I was always curious about where we were from, so having that answer and making that trip is, you know, definitely on my bucket list. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna do it, but it's gonna be a big one. Yeah.
Okay. So from the moment the Wallace family lands in Africa, weird and creepy things start happening right away. So have you ever had something disturbing that you can't really explain that's happened to you?
I've never had that, but recently my mom did. My dad passed away May 6th, and about a couple weeks after, and I should maybe preface that with, my mom and dad hadn't spoken in 30 years.
Wow.
And a couple of weeks after that, my mom opened up the freezer and there was a white feather sitting there. And she was like, Jessie, what could this? She sent a photo, and you guys know on the show, I'm like the least superstitious person ever. But you understand how grief can make you want to believe in anything. And so my mom and I are choosing to believe that was a little peace offering from my dad.
That.
Yeah.
I really love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I don't know how to follow that because the story that I have is a little bit. I just went to a cottage once when I was a kid, and I ended up finding this gnarly copy of The Omen, that book. And then later that night, I fell asleep, and I swear to God, I saw a little creepy kid standing at the foot of my bed. It was at a cottage, and I don't know. And I swear that I saw something.
Cottages.
And I was absolutely terrified.
I told you
You're
about
not
those
gonna like my
cottages.
story then.
Oh, God, you got a cottage?
I had a cottage.
Okay, what happened?
So a friend of mine owns this very, very old cottage, and they keep a chair for the previous owner who built it from like over 100 years ago because he's visiting all the time.
Oh,
and how do we know?
gosh.
Because they used to ring a bell for mealtime, so they don't like it when anyone sits in his chair, and whenever he feels like it, the bell just rings.
Okay.
Here's another reason not to go to the cottage.
Okay.
I didn't have enough reasons.
Okay, we want to get to this hopefully quickly. Okay, so as we know, many characters in this audible are dealing with profound grief after losing family members, including the Wallace family. And Deshawn comes to realize that not properly dealing with their grief is actually the thing that's tearing their family apart. So, you know, let's talk about, like, are there anything that helps you deal with grief and loss?
Yeah, I had two things that helped me a lot. My father passed away last year, September. It's almost, it's gonna be a year soon. It's so crazy that time went by so fast. But for sure, it was my personal trainer, Will Sellis. Hi, Will, because he watches, and my therapist, who I went to see after my dad was cremated. That was the first stop that I made. When I didn't leave the house after my dad passed away because I was just overwhelmed and didn't know him. The first place I went to was the gym because I just needed to do something, and I wanted to do something positive. And Will, whose mom had passed away 4 months prior, we kind of held my hand and walked me through it. And those two men really helped me through that whole process. I don't know where I'd be if I did not have them. So I want to publicly say thank you. Thank you so much, you guys.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. All right, so that was really beautiful. Mel, sorry, that's not what I'm supposed to say. I'm safe to say that this Audible originally definitely got us talking. And good news, you can join me and Jess on Instagram Live today at 4:30 Eastern Time to continue this very important conversation, including our worst trip from hell experiences, whether we've ever experienced something that felt fated. It's gonna be a juicy one.
And we'll try not to cry.
Yeah, we're trying not to cry. We won't.
Oh, that's my turn now. But guess what, guys? It's time for the big reveal. Drum roll, please. Our next social chapter selection is Rich Girl Summer by Lily Chu. So this is set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country. And
we're going back to the cottage.
This Audible original follows the story of Valerie, a down on her luck event planner, posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter. As she attempts to remain undercover, she finds herself uncovering the scandalous past of a secretive family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the family's handsome assistant, Nico.
Yes. Hey, don't forget, go to audible.ca to pre-order it for yourself. You can also scan the QR code that's on the screen right there. It'll take you straight there. Don't forget, your first audiobook is free with your membership, so you can go ahead and listen along with us, okay? So let's take a break. Don't forget, we'll be doing that in the next couple of months. We'll be back right after this. On the social, something I've never heard of before. We're going to show you how to host a coffee tasting. A coffee tasting. It's like a coffee sommelier.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
It's fascinating. Also, a closer look at new laws that critics are saying are targeting unhoused people during this unprecedented housing crisis. It's going to be a deep one. Don't forget that you can also find us on Crave and on YouTube. You can listen to our podcast on the iHeartRadio app as well. To this gorgeous audience, thank you for making it out today. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you. All right, everybody, we'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye-bye. Take care.